Martin Houston, I hope you're doing well. Do you agree with Nick Saban?
No.
Okay.
In some ways, I do, Ryan. In terms of it does. If you're looking at the sweeps or the counters off tackle plays, it does look a little bit. It is a lot like it. The only difference is the starting point for the running back. But when you look at those, first and goals and third and ones, and you got the fullback that picks up that blitz and linebacker right downhill, to me, it's another story. And it's just not as effective when that guy's up in the box versus leading away left or right from the I formation or from a slotted, faded, strong side or weak side. But, to each his own. I think that you see a lot more teams be a lot more effective in goal line offense if they incorporated some type of I formation where a quarterback was under center versus snapping the ball back 5 yards, and while you're waiting, 5 yards deep in the backfield, the ball's coming, so is the defensive line versus, the running back's taking off on the snap. But, each his own.
Game day down in Baton Rouge, getting ready for this LSU Bengal Tigers and your Alabama Crimson Tide. Tell us why Alabama should be afraid of LSU.
Why Alabama should be afraid of LSU? Because I guess anytime you play the game, there's always something bad that could happen, something that could go wrong from an injury standpoint. Mistakes can be made.
Come on, Martin. Is that the best you got?
But the reality of it is, Ryan, if both of these teams go out and play, I always predict games and pick games, Ryan, not based on what if something bad happens. I pick based on each team playing to their ability. And if these two teams play to their ability, there is nothing, zero, nada about this LSU team that should scare Alabama. I mean, it's just that this team is riding high off of preseason top 10 teams. They have a legit win over Georgia, but I think they exposed Georgia of having a weak defense more than them necessarily destroying Georgia. And this Alabama team and Georgia team are in two different places right now.
So when you look at this LSU-Alabama game, we've had Les Miles on, we've had a couple of other people, and they think this game is going to be close. How do you see it?
I would love to know what makes people think this game is going to be close. First of all, you have to be saying, for this game to be close, you have to be saying that LSU is going to shut down Alabama for 4 quarters. I keep hearing people say, well, this is the first game that Tua may have to play 4 quarters. Okay, so you think that LSU is going to hold Tua to what? Tua in this offense to 28 points, 35 points, whatever. What do you think they're going to do? When you look at the statistics, Ryan, Alabama has 127 yards given up on defense. LSU has 121, right? Well, we call LSU defense great, and we dog Alabama just saying it's not up to the standard. And half of those 127 have come against second and third talent. So this LSU offense, 6 touchdowns by the starting quarterback, 19 by the rest of the team. They got 25 touchdowns, and they're not going to generate enough offense to make this game close unless Alabama just implodes or if Tua gets hurt. If Tua is healthy, Devontae Smith back in the lineup, this offensive line play, it's just not going to be – it's not going to be close. I also think – Ryan, go ahead.
No, we read some stats earlier. You know Joe Burrow hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in the month of October?
I didn't realize it had been that long.
No, well, he had 3 against Ole Miss. He has not had one since September the 29th.
So, and this is the team that's supposed to all of a sudden make it close against the number one offense. So what you're saying is this defense is going to come and take the number one offense in the country and shut them down. And I love it. Like I said, Ryan, everybody keeps saying, well, may be the first game Tua plays 4 quarters. So that means that the offense could score even more. I don't get this whole he has to play 4 quarters. Guys, the reason he's not playing 4 quarters is because he's doing his work in 2.
Well,
and I don't expect there to be any difference in this game.
Well, see, I kept saying, I went on in Nashville this morning. They said, what do you expect from Alabama's offense? I said, well, why don't we say that they can cut Alabama in half on points? Do you think LSU can keep up? I don't think they can.
This team, if it was playing 4 quarters, would be averaging 70-plus points a game. So let's just say 35. Can LSU score 35 points? They've scored 36 points one time, Ryan. And you know how many turnovers Georgia had? 4 or 5 turnovers?
4 turnovers, yes. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles.
Okay. And how many does our team have all year?
Let's see.
Jalen has 2 interceptions.
Yeah, and Tua has 2 fumbles. He lost 1 and got 1 back, so he's got 1 fumble.
And Devontae Smith lost a fumble, right?
Yep, that's
First
it.
game of the year. So, I mean, there's nothing about – I told you last week, this LSU team is built to beat Bama. The only problem is Greg McElroy's Bama. It's just not going to happen unless there's some type of implosion. Tua gets hurt. If these 2 teams show up and they both play their best game, this Alabama team is at least 2 touchdowns better on a lights-out performance by LSU, but I would say there's probably 3 to 4 touchdowns better in just any given scenario. And I think what's going to happen, Ryan, 2 things. I think, first of all, Devin White being out is actually going to cause Alabama to be more aggressive in the first half than they normally would be to get the game out of reach while Devin White's not there. So I look for Alabama to be even more aggressive in their approach to trying to get scores. Number two is if this thing just plays out the way you expect, they're going to try to slow the clock down, right? They're going to try to take – somebody said they're going to try to take their eye out of the ball. They're going to try to make it – well, if they don't score every time they do that and Alabama comes back and scores quickly, all of a sudden now you're going to put Joe Burrow in a situation because you're not running your normal offense. You're going to have obvious passing downs. Then there's going to lead to a couple of quick interceptions and either scores off of interception. He throws at least 2, if not 3 interceptions because they are going to have to chase to keep up with the tide. And then that's just going to stretch it out even more.
Dave Aranda, when you look at Dave Aranda, certainly he's going to throw some things at Alabama. Your former coach, Coach Stallings, was here on Wednesday, presented by NewLifeArt.com, and he said, you know, because we asked him about, well, what would you do against Tua? He said, you got to put pressure on him. Well, don't you take chances? He said, you take chances if you don't put pressure on him. So what do you think Dave Aranda is going to do or try to do to Tua Tagovailoa?
Well, I said, let me just answer that question from what I would do if I had Dave Aranda's talent.
Okay.
He's the only one that has the ability to man up with at least a few of our wide receivers, but he doesn't have enough to man up completely. So he can't leave him out there on the island long. So I'm going to blitz him. I'm going to try to blitz him, Ryan. And here's the thing. The early on, my blitzes is not about necessarily keeping him from making some completions. I just don't want him to make any touchdowns. But every single time, remember the day of the option quarterback, Ryan? And you hit that option quarterback every single time, okay? Even if he pitched it, you still hit him. And what your goal was to get him to, as soon as he pulled it out on that triple option, as soon as he pulled it out of the belly, you wanted him pitching it because he knew he was going to get hit. The only hope I think you have against Tua is you hit him every single play, hoping that you can make him start throwing it a little bit early. Make him before they're out of the breaks, before he's ready to. And you do that by hitting him every single play. And I know this sounds bad. I wouldn't do it dirty, Ryan, but there'd be a couple of third-team linebackers that I'd put in the game on the blitz, and I say, son, you got 2 steps after you throw it. And I know you may get us a 15-yard penalty early, but you hit number 13 and you hit him hard every single time. Don't make him start throwing the ball before he wants to and start looking over his shoulder because he knows we're going to hit him. And I believe that's what LSU is going to do. I think they know that if you let him sit back there, he's going to pick you apart. If you go with man and blitzing, he's going to pick you apart. So you have to make him throw it before he wants to, and you can't do that unless you hit him every time. Because he's shown, Ryan, that he'll stand in there and take a lick every once in a while. That's not going to bother him. That's their only hope, in my opinion.
So
I think that's what they're going to do.
Do you think this game is – do you think it's more likely that this is a closer game or more likely that it's an Alabama blowout?
I think it's more likely to be an Alabama blowout, Ryan. I predicted the highest scoring – I went back and looked at all of the statistics of all the games that I could find scores on, and I think the highest scoring game was 47 in the history of this series, and that was like 1922. I believe this is the year that Alabama, in back-to-back rivalry games, they set the record for offensive points. They did it against Tennessee. I think they do it against LSU.
The other part, I know we spend a lot of time talking about offensively, defense, LSU defense against this offense. I still think, and I wrote this up in my prediction, I think Alabama's defense, because they haven't been talked about in 2 weeks, I think they'll rise to the occasion. I think you'll see a different unit on that side of the football.
Ryan, go back and look. Every time this defense has been challenged or it's been talked about how good the opponent is, they've responded, okay? This is a young – I know we're 8 games in, but this still is a young defense when it comes to leaders and all of that. And one of the things about young players is they don't have the ability many times to play to a standard without an external motivation, okay? Ole Miss was an external motivation. Missouri, external motivation. Texas A&M, external motivation. They responded when they got hit in the mouth or they thought they would get hit in the mouth. This is another external motivation. I have this team shutting this. Ryan, what is LSU going to do on this team? We shut down Fournette and Geis. Their starting running backs would be 5th and 6th, maybe 6th and 7th on our depth chart right now. There's not a single running back that's on scholarship at Alabama that wouldn't be starting at LSU in front of their current running back. I'm talking about the freshman Jerome Ford is better than their starting running back. And I'm not trying to be ugly with that. That's just reality of the skill set that they have. Then you take into that, if you stop the run, the quarterback, you just said it, Ryan, the quarterback has not thrown a touchdown in the month of October. It's now November.
Well, and he threw half of them. See, this is the part that's misleading. When you look at the breakdown, okay, I'm going to give you the breakdown, okay? This tells you everything that you need to know. Against good competition, he's not very good. Miami, 0 touchdowns. Southeast Louisiana,
not very good.
Southeastern Louisiana, 2 touchdowns. Auburn, 1, not very good football team. La Tech, 0. Ole Miss, and you and I have talked about Ole Miss at length. He scored 3 touchdowns against Ole Miss, 0 against Florida, 0 against Georgia, 0 against Mississippi State.
And enough said. I mean, where are they going to generate points from? I gave 13, Ryan, partly considering the fact that it's going to be a blowout and they're going to still have their starters in against our defense. Our backup. That's part of my 13. Is taken into account that they might get some garbage points down the stretch.
Yeah. Well, and Tua, if you're just kind of comparing the tape, Tua has more touchdowns. He has 8 on third downs. 8 touchdowns on third down. He has more than Joe has the entire season on all the downs.
Ryan, he has more. How many rushing touchdowns does Tua have?
Let me see here. I don't know that number.
3 or 4? Something like that?
Something like that.
He's around 30 touchdowns on the year, right? Somewhere around that number. That's 25 passing touchdowns. You know how many touchdowns?
Yeah, he has 2. He has 2.
He has 2. So he has 27 touchdowns.
Right, 27 touchdowns.
You know how many LSU has? They have 19 rushing touchdowns and 6 passing touchdowns by their quarterback.
This is going to get ugly. I'm telling you,
That's 20.
we've amped this game up. This will not live up to the expectations.
Tua, and it still blows my mind. He has 27 total touchdowns in the equivalent of about 4 football games. Okay? If you add all his minutes up, it may add up to 4 football games. Ryan, we're 8 games into the season. Okay? His worst half of meaningful football was last year in the national championship game.
Wow.
That's the worst football we've seen Tagovailoa play when the game matters. If he plays that way, we still beat this team by 2 touchdowns.
Hey, Martin, let me throw it back to you, my friend, and talk about your agency as we close things down here on the interview, the conversation that you and I have every Friday.
Alabama One Agency Insurance Services. We have everything you need when it comes to your insurance needs. Alabama One Agency offers auto, home, life, commercial. If you need it insured, we can insure it for you. And we're fully owned by Alabama One Credit Union. And we say finance it here, insure it here. You hear a lot of other credit unions advertise. You hear a lot of other insurance agencies advertise. But the thing you need to remember, Alabama One, and it's the one that makes the difference. So give us a call at Alabama One Agency Insurance Services or Alabama One Credit Union, the one you turn to for your financial needs and all of your insurance, your one source.
Thank you, Martin Houston. I appreciate it. I hope Nick Saban was not listening because we'd probably be in the doghouse, man.
Yeah, or at least the rat house.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Martin, I appreciate you, man. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate you. Roll Tide.